You know, I'm all for a fun summer, but can we get to September? We're talking kick in the NFL, specifically on the AFC side, as we take a look at the odds to win each division. The Browns, surprisingly enough, favorites to win the North. Plenty of belief there from the odds makers, the AFC champions, reigning that is, at plus 220 there. The Bengals and the Ravens sporting the same number across it. It goes south, Colts, east, Bills, west. Still runs through the Chiefs. All right, let's break it down with our football insider analyst, Emory Hunt. Emory, interesting stuff happening here when we take a look at some of those numbers, and I want to begin in the AFC West. And on the AFC side of things, really just broad strokes here, it is the quarterback conference right now, and specifically in that division. The worst QB in the division is on some MVP watch lists in Carr out in Vegas, but you add Russ, and all roads still tend to lead through KC. How do you see it playing out in a division that's going to be cutthroat the entire way through?
You know, that's a great point by you that this is the quarterback division. So let's take quarterback out of the equation and look at the complete roster. So for me, I still like Denver's roster. So I'm going to give the Broncos a nod here and take them to win that conference or that division. When you look at the receiving core, I know Russ left some good receivers in Seattle. He's coming to some very good receivers here in Denver. You got KJ Hamler coming back. You have Jerry Jeudy. You have Tim Patrick. You have Cortland Sutton. You have two good tight ends, Albert Oberwebenam, and also Greg Dulcich, the rookie out of UCLA. So they got some options in the passing game. And defensively, you got a great corner and Patrick Surtain II. You bring in Randy Gregory from the Cowboys to go along with a healthy Bradley Chubb. So I like what I'm seeing on both sides of the ball for the Broncos, and I think adding Russ helps them find that consistency and pushes them over the edge.
Yeah, no longer a question mark at the quarterback position, but there are no easy outs in the West on the AFC side this season. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch that division play out. We turn our attention now to the East, where the changing of the guard appears to be complete. It's Buffalo's division now. For the longest time, 2 decades, it ran through Foxborough. Different story now out east. Who poses the biggest threat? Because we are going to be paying a price there on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, you take Buffalo to win that division, but who's the biggest threat? I feel like it's the Dolphins. When you look at them being in a position to get into the playoffs the last 2 years, to be completely honest, win and in type situation, they failed in both seasons. So let's see if they can push through now with a better roster around Tua Tagovailoa. He's going to be the unquestioned guy going into the season. Doesn't have to look over his shoulder, but this is still the Bills division to win. This team is strong on both sides of the ball, and even in special teams. You bring in a Jameson Crowder to replace Cole Beasley. You bring in a Von Miller to get some added pressure on the edge. You draft my number 1 corner, Kaiir Elam, out of Florida, to go along with Tre'Davious White and company in that impressive secondary. So for me, Buffalo is so strong they could be an AFC title contender. But right now, you got them winning the division, but keep an eye on the Dolphins nipping at their heels.
Favorites to win the division and to win the whole darn thing in this coming season, with good reason, as they do have that carrot of unfinished business dangling out in front of them. We were talking off camera a little bit about the North and some of the numbers attached. The Browns are the favorite right now, and I understand some of the question marks with the Ravens, sporting plus 220 numbers. Their quarterback not present at OTAs as he continues to negotiate his own long-term contract there, so some I's need to be dotted and some T's need to be crossed before they can even start thinking about winning football games at Baltimore. Then you got the defending AFC champions there sporting the same plus 220 number in the Bengals. Lamar, less targets than last season. How do you stack these up? This is the one I'm having the most trouble with.
And this is going to be a fun conference to watch, or division to watch all throughout the season. We know Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, so we haven't seen that yet. So that's a fly in the ointment type situation for Pittsburgh. But you look at Baltimore winning this division, in my opinion, they get everybody back healthy, number 1. And number 2, you add Tyler Linderbaum on offense to help solidify your pivot position up front. On defense, you bring in Travis Jones. On the interior, you bring in Kyle Hamilton to go along with Marcus Williams, who you brought in via free agency. You get Marcus Peters back, and you also have everything that you had in place in terms of the run game. J.K. Dobbins coming back healthy. Gus Edwards coming back healthy. And people are wondering about the receiving core. Listen, don't sleep on the Ravens' tight end position outside of Mark Andrews. Charlie Kolar is going to be a significant threat in this passing game, as well as Isaiah Likely coming in from Coastal Carolina. So I still like the Ravens. They still have the best quarterback in the division, in my opinion. And everything else, we don't know about Cleveland. How many games will Deshaun Watson be out there? The Bengals have enough talent, but we saw the Bengals lay an egg a couple of times throughout the course of the season. And even in the playoffs, thank God they had a great kicker in McPherson. And Pittsburgh is still right there. As much as we talk about Mr. Trubisky and his Bears tenure, they got to the playoffs twice with Mr. Trubisky. So they may be a team that people will sleep on all throughout the season.
You said it twice. You say it a third time he appears. It's like Beetlejuice. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Emory. We're going to see if he's under center or if it's the new guy. But having a whole lot of fun is what we're going to do throughout this season. As we turn to the AFC South, you know, we talked about the AFC being this quarterback conference, but this is the division where it's a little bit of old school football. Yes, new quarterback in Indy, but the two best running backs in the entire league reside in this division. How do you stack them up?
You know, Joe, you're an old school guy like myself. So this conference, this division to me kind of reminds me of the old AFC Central. You know, everyone's going to beat each other up, I feel like. And if you're feeling frisky, you can sprinkle a little bit on Jacksonville. I love the way the Jags are heading under their new head coach. However, I'm not that bold. I will go with the Colts here because Matt Ryan helped stabilize the quarterback position. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to feast with Matt Ryan throwing him accurate passes down the field. The run game with that offensive line can win you a lot of games in this league. And defensively, I think they're strong on the interior. I love their defensive tackles. I love their linebacking core. I worry about the defensive ends. How well they can progress this season will be key. I like what they've added in the secondary. You bring in a tremendous corner coming from the Patriots, along with what you had in Kenny Moore. So there's a lot to like about the Colts, and it's going to be about whether or not they can get pressure on the quarterback. But Matt Ryan makes them a better offense instantly, and I'm excited to see this play out for Indy.
Yeah, a new lease on life there for Matt Ryan, playing for a real division contender, if nothing else. Let's talk about a win total here on the AFC side. I think you've been hanging around Pete Prisco, the mayor of Jacksonville, a little too long, Emory, because that's where you're taking us for your win total play.
Yeah, you got to go over that 6.5 number for Jacksonville. And the reason why, I'm big on talent trumps everything. And when you look at the two deep, to be completely honest, for both sides of the ball for Jacksonville, they have a ton of talent. And you have to take the positive approach with a guy like Trevor Lawrence getting better in year 2. You get a free first-round pick coming back in Travis Etienne, who didn't play last year. So now you have a great 1-2 punch in the backfield. You bring in Christian Kirk. You bring in a motivated Evan Ingram. I think defensively, their linebacking core, bringing in Devin Lloyd, drafting Chad Muma as well. Also, Foye Oluokun coming in from the Falcons. I love that second level for Jacksonville. Tyson Campbell got better as the season went on at corner. There's a lot to like about Jacksonville. They won't win the division, but man, getting over 6.5 wins to me seems like an easy thing to happen, especially with Doug Peterson leading the way. He knows how to get the most out of a roster.
All right, there you see a look at the schedule. Just got to find 7 wins to cash that ticket. So we take a look at a different type of ticket. Odds to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, Emory, here, taking stock of these numbers. I mean, if we were sitting here a year ago and you told me the Bengals were going to be that team, I would have been looking at you crooked. So find me some value. Where's it lie?
You know what? Full disclosure, my pick last year to get to the Super Bowl was Dallas and Baltimore, right? So I look at Baltimore being the team in the AFC. I'm going to stay away from the NFC because we're talking AFC here, but I still like the Ravens. I love what they do on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They were super competitive last year with all of those injuries. Now you get everybody back healthy. Again, people are sleeping on what they're going to do with these tight ends. I think that's going to be a problem. People have problems trying to match up against one good tight end. They got 4. And they can run the football, and defensively they're going to be able to take the ball away now with Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Those are 2 ball hawks back there in the secondary. So I love what I'm seeing from Baltimore. I think between Baltimore and Buffalo is a safe pick. I see those 2 teams meeting up in the AFC title game with Baltimore winning by 3.
All right. Dialing it in early on. We are growing closer to kick. One day closer, and our Emory Hunt going to be with us through it all. Here's a look at those picks. Out west, it's going to be Denver plus 250. New look Russ, that offense and the whole supporting cast is the difference in that tough division. Pick to win the East, Buffalo. Hard to look elsewhere. Everybody else 4-1 or longer. Buffalo going to cost you a price at minus 180. In the North, Baltimore providing some value there at plus 220. Second favorites to win the division, tied in the odds with one other and sitting behind the Browns, tied with Cincinnati, that is. And in the South, Indy minus a short number to win the division, but to pick to win it all in the AFC. Baltimore 12-1 value, and our Emory Hunt scooping it up.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.